Hello there, my sleepy fellows. I'm glad you found your way here tonight. The world has grown still now. The stars gleam softly above, and Middle-earth settles into quiet rest beneath the gentle glow of the moon. Tonight, we journey together beyond the rolling hills of the Shire, beyond the green slopes and sleepy hobbit holes, eastward through forests and winding rivers, until at last we find ourselves cradled in the hidden valley of Rivendell. There, beneath the shelter of tall ancient trees, beside the cool singing waters, lies the House of Elrond, a place of learning, of peace, of old songs and older stories. But even within those well-known halls, some secrets linger, forgotten by time, hidden behind carved doors and silent corridors. Tonight, we will walk softly, listen closely, and perhaps uncover one such forgotten corner of Rivendell, the Hidden Library, where the oldest lore still waits. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let your thoughts settle like soft leaves drifting upon the quiet streams of Rivendell. Tonight, our journey is not hurried nor loud. We walk gently beneath the ancient trees, where the stars whisper through the leaves, where the waters sing along the stones, and the air itself hums with memory. The House of Elrond rests here, a place of peace, of learning, of lore gathered from every corner of Middle-earth. Many know of its grand halls, its quiet gardens, its songs that drift like silver upon the air. But few speak of the forgotten corners, the quiet doors left untouched, the rooms where time itself slows, and old secrets linger, waiting patiently to be found. In this soft, calming tale, we follow a quiet seeker, one who walks these familiar halls, and yet finds a path that even the songs of Rivendell have long forgotten. A hidden library tucked behind stone and ivy, where the oldest tales, the lost words of elves and men, still rest. If you enjoy gentle journeys through Middle-earth, if you find peace in slow stories, ancient songs, and quiet wonder, feel free to drift with us again. You can like, subscribe, or simply return whenever your heart needs the steady rhythm of the world that Tolkien imagined. But for now, let your breathing slow. The halls of Rivendell await, and the hidden library calls softly, just beyond sight. His name was Lirian, a quiet soul, thoughtful, steady, with dark, curious eyes and a mind woven with gentle wonder. Lirian was one of the many who found refuge within the timeless valley of Rivendell. Though he had not been born among the elves, nor could he trace his line to kings or heroes. He was, simply, a seeker, the kind who preferred soft-footed wandering over grand halls, quiet corners over crowded rooms, and stories whispered beneath the stars over the clang of swords or the echo of proud songs. Lirian's days passed in peace. He wandered the gardens of Imladris, his steps slow upon mossy stone paths, his eyes turned upward to the tall ancient trees whose branches whispered softly in the breeze. He read the old books, tucked away within Elrond's vast library, their pages worn, their words fading, but still carrying the hum of forgotten lore. He listened to the songs of the elves, their voices gentle as rain upon leaves, carrying tales older than mortal reckoning, and at night he would sit by the quiet streams that laced through the valley, watching the silver light of the stars ripple upon the water, listening, always listening. But lately, there had been something more, a soft, persistent pull, like a thread of music woven into the air, drawing his curiosity beyond the well-worn halls, beyond the known corridors of the house. It wasn't urgent, nor loud, only a gentle invitation, the kind that lingers just beneath the skin, whispering of forgotten places, hidden doors, and quiet secrets waiting patiently in the shadows of Rivendell. The valley itself seemed to hum with it now, in the way the ivy curled differently upon certain stones, in the soft echoes that lingered a little longer at the end of quiet halls, in the faintest glimmer of light that sometimes traced the edges of ancient carvings when the moon was high. Lirian did not rush to follow it. He was no hero of haste, only a quiet seeker, content to walk softly, to listen, to wonder, and to wait. And soon, without even realizing it, his steps would carry him beyond the familiar and toward the hidden heart of Rivendell, the forgotten library where the oldest stories still slept, waiting just for him. The Valley of Rivendell woke each morning as it had for countless years, slow, quiet, wrapped in soft mist and the steady song of the hidden streams that wound like silver threads between stone and forest. The sunlight crept gently over the eastern cliffs, touching the leaves with gold, turning the waters to glass, and casting long, delicate shadows across the pathways and ancient arches of the elves' house. And within this peaceful rhythm, Lirian's days unfolded, gentle, unhurried, woven into the quiet hum of the world around him. His morning often began beneath the tall birch trees that lined the western gardens. There, where the soft grass whispered beneath his feet, where ivy curled along old stone walls, and where the faint scent of rain still clung to the air, he walked. A leather-bound book rested in one hand, a simple, worn journal in the other. For though the house of Elrond held thousands of written works, scrolls and volumes gathered across the long ages of Middle-earth, there was always more to wonder, more to observe, more quiet thoughts to record in the margins of his own wandering mind. The birds sang faintly among the branches, the leaves rustled high above, and the low hum of elven song drifted from distant balconies, carried gently upon the morning breeze. Afterward, Lirian would often find his way to the great library. The vast hall lay tucked within the eastern wing of Rivendell, its tall windows casting dappled sunlight upon rows of carved shelves, its towering stacks heavy with books, parchments, and scrolls gathered from every corner of the world. Many came to study here, elves with eyes deep as the sea, mortal scholars with brows furrowed in thought, travelers lingering in quiet curiosity. Lirian, though, rarely lingered in the grand spaces. Instead, he wandered the quieter corners, the forgotten alcoves, the narrow aisles where dust gathered thick upon neglected shelves, the tucked-away nooks where time slowed and only the faintest echo of footsteps stirred the air. It was there, among the faded tomes and forgotten parchments, that he often traced his fingers along spines worn smooth by age, wondering, always wondering, what stories lay hidden beneath layers of dust and time. In the afternoons, the valley itself called to him. He would follow the winding streams, their clear waters slipping over polished stones, their song steady as the heartbeat of the land. Sometimes he would climb the gentle slopes beyond the gardens, to sit quietly beneath the great oaks, watching the clouds drift slow and white across the wide blue sky. And in these quiet hours, he began to notice the first soft threads of mystery. It was never abrupt, only gentle things, a faint, unfamiliar hum woven into the song of the streams, a patch of ivy along an old wall, curling in patterns that resembled ancient elvish spirals, hidden, deliberate, almost as though guiding unseen eyes toward forgotten places. At twilight, as the stars began to shimmer, Lyrian sometimes wandered the lower corridors of the house, those quiet halls carved deep into the rock, where the stones themselves seemed older, heavier, where echoes drifted longer, softer. It was there, one evening, that he heard it. A whisper, faint, like the turning of a page, but when he paused, the hall was still, only his own quiet breathing, the soft creak of old wood, the distant murmur of the streams beyond. It left him curious. The next day, he found a doorway along that same corridor, tucked in shadow, its edges worn smooth with age, its frame wrapped in ivy that curled, just so, in those same delicate, spiraling patterns. There was no sign, no inscription to mark its purpose, only quiet, and, beneath the soft hum of the stones, a subtle feeling, a gentle tug, not urgent, but familiar, as though the valley itself whispered, "Come." Lyrian did not enter, not yet. The day carried him onward, the quiet rhythm of life folding around him once more. But the hidden door, the curling ivy, the faint hum beneath the earth, all lingered, like a forgotten note in an old song, waiting to be heard again. The days passed, the threads of mystery, patient, wove themselves deeper into the edges of his gentle routines. And with each sunrise, each soft footstep along the mossy paths, Lyrian felt it grow, steady, quiet, pulling him, slowly, toward the heart of Rivendell's oldest secrets. The Valley of Rivendell moved through its days with quiet grace, the streams threading their silver song through the forests, the tall trees swaying softly against the endless sky, the gentle hum of elven song drifting like mist through the winding paths. For Lyrian, those familiar rhythms were as steady as breathing, yet beneath them now, the faintest threads of something older, something waiting, had begun to stir. The hidden door lingered in his thoughts, tucked away along the shadowed corridor, its frame wrapped in curling ivy, its surface marked by time, and yet untouched. Each day, he wandered the familiar paths, through the gardens, beneath the whispering birches, along the cool streams that wove like ribbons through the valley floor, and with each quiet step, the world whispered back, small, gentle signs, a low hum threading through the stones beneath his feet as he passed beneath the ancient arches, a faint shimmer of light along the edges of moss-covered carvings, patterns older than words, spiraling softly like ripples upon still water. One evening, as twilight settled across the valley, he found himself once more along the lower halls, the quiet corridors carved deep into the heart of the house. The stones here were smooth with age, the air cool, hushed, as though the very walls remembered things long forgotten by the voices above. And it was there, near the hidden door, that he saw them, soft, glowing motes of light, drifting faintly in the still air, their shapes delicate, their glow silver like starlight caught upon dust. They hovered near the ivy-wrapped frame, pulsing gently, waiting. Lirian approached, his steps careful, his heart steady. The lights did not scatter, nor fade. They lingered, as though watching, as though guiding. Beneath his feet, the hum deepened, low, patient, woven into the stones, the walls, the very breath of the valley itself. The hidden door remained closed, yet something had shifted. The ivy, once still, now curled slowly, its spirals unfurling, revealing faint carvings etched along the wooden frame, patterns older than the house itself. Elvish, though not in the graceful, familiar style of the valley's halls. These markings were rougher, ancient, like echoes of a forgotten tongue. The glowing motes pulsed softly, and then the faintest sound, a whisper, not of voice, but of pages turning, distant, just beyond the door, as though a hand long unseen still traced old words upon parchment, waiting to be heard once more. Lirian's fingers brushed the ivy aside, tracing the carved spirals, feeling the quiet hum pulse beneath his skin, and then, as softly as it had begun, the lights faded, the air stilled, the door remained closed, but the mystery breathed. In the days that followed, the valley itself seemed to lean closer, its quiet song threading with hidden layers. The streams reflected unfamiliar constellations in their rippling surface, stars that shimmered for a moment, then vanished into the water's depths. The ancient oaks along the northern slopes rustled with faint voices when the wind passed through their branches. Too soft to understand, but steady, present. And in the quietest hours, when the moon was high, Lirian often caught glimpses, shadows moving along the edges of forgotten halls, shapes that vanished when his eyes turned fully, but their presence lingering, like the scent of rain upon stone. He sought guidance, gently, speaking with those who lingered in Rivendell longer than most. A passing elf, eyes bright with distant memory, offered only a knowing smile. There are corners of this house even Elrond has forgotten, they whispered. The stones themselves remember, patient as the stars. The old gardener, tending to the ivy along the courtyard walls, glanced toward the distant wing. Roots grow deep, he muttered softly, and some doors only open when the valley wishes them to. Lirian listened, watched, waited, and with each quiet sign, each subtle hum, the mystery grew, never loud, never urgent, only present, woven through Rivendell's steady breath, waiting, gently, for him to follow. The valley of Rivendell rested beneath a silver sky. The stars shimmered faintly, their ancient light falling soft upon the tall trees and winding streams, upon the carved halls and hidden paths, upon the quiet seeker who walked alone beneath their gaze. Lirian moved softly through the lower corridors of the house, his steps measured, his heart steady, the familiar hum of the valley threading gently beneath his feet. The hidden door awaited him, wrapped in ivy, its spirals faintly glowing beneath the moonlight that filtered down from a narrow window high above. The days had passed in quiet rhythm, the signs lingering, patient, the mystery weaving itself deeper into the edges of his thoughts. Tonight, the valley breathed differently. The air carried a hush, a stillness, as though the stones themselves leaned closer, as though the old stories held their breath. The glowing motes of light drifted once more, hovering near the ivy-covered frame, their silver glow pulsing in gentle invitation. Lirian approached, the medallion he always wore resting warm against his chest, its faint spirals matching those upon the hidden door. His hand reached out, fingers brushing the ivy aside. The carvings beneath his touch hummed faintly, steady, patient, as though they had waited long for this moment. The wooden frame, worn smooth with time, shifted, not loudly, only a soft, subtle release, as though the valley itself exhaled. The door opened, quiet as falling leaves. Beyond, a narrow passageway stretched into shadow, carved stone arching overhead, the walls lined with faint, spiraling patterns that glowed softly beneath the touch of moonlight and memory. The hum deepened, steady beneath his feet, beneath the walls, within the very breath of the air. Lirian stepped forward. The corridor curved gently, its edges lost in shadow, the stones cool beneath his fingertips as he traced the carvings along the way. The passageway widened, opening into a hidden chamber, vast, still, untouched. Books, hundreds, thousands, lined the tall, ancient shelves, their spines worn, their covers faded with time. Scrolls lay tucked within carved alcoves, parchments stacked upon stone tables, faint trails of dust drifting through the still air, stirred by his quiet presence. But it was not the age of the room, nor the forgotten books, that stilled Lirian's breath. It was the light, soft, silver, glowing along the edges of the shelves, along the carvings in the stone, pulsing gently within the spirals etched across the walls and floor. The same spirals, the same ancient pattern woven through the valley, now revealed in full, here, within the hidden library. And upon a pedestal at the chamber's heart, a single book, old, bound in deep green leather, its cover marked with delicate silver lines, spirals weaving across its surface like ripples upon water. The hum filled the chamber, low, steady, the same song of the valley, now rising, present, welcoming. Lirian approached, his footsteps soft upon the worn stone. His hand hovered over the book, feeling the warmth of its presence, the quiet hum of forgotten words waiting beneath its cover. The moment held, gentle, unhurried, and then, with the same steady calm that had guided him here, he lifted the book, The air shifted, the hum deepened, threading through the stone, the shelves, the walls, the very breath of the hidden place. The spirals upon the book glowed faintly, the silver lines pulsing in quiet recognition, and within, as Lyrian opened its cover, the forgotten lore of Rivendell stirred softly awake. Maps of lands beyond memory, songs whose words drifted like the echo of starlight, histories written before the fall of Numenor, before the elves first sailed west. The library breathed, not with noise, but with presence, with memory, with quiet wonder woven into every shadowed corner, and Lyrian, steady, calm, did not rush. He simply stood, holding the book, listening, letting the hum of the valley and the ancient stories of Elrond's house wash over him. The door had opened, the mystery revealed, but the journey was only beginning. The hidden chamber beneath Rivendell exhaled its ancient breath as Lyrian lingered within its quiet walls. The soft hum of the valley echoed gently through the stone, steady, patient, as though the land itself listened, waiting. The green-bound book rested upon the pedestal, its silver spirals glowing faintly beneath the hush of the chamber, the forgotten words within humming softly, like the distant echo of old songs whispered across the ages. Lyrian's fingers traced the delicate patterns along the cover, the same spirals he had seen etched upon hidden stones, woven into ivy, threaded through the quiet breath of the valley. It was all connected, the forgotten corners of the house, the soft hum beneath his feet, the faint glimmers of light drifting along shadowed halls. All of it, a quiet invitation, woven gently through time, waiting for one who walked softly enough, who listened, who wondered. Lyrian did not rush to open the pages again. Instead, he settled upon the cool stone floor, his back resting lightly against the base of a tall shelf, the faint, calming glow of the spirals casting soft patterns along the chamber walls. His gaze lifted to the high, arched ceiling, carved with stars, delicate constellations echoing those that shimmered beyond the valley sky. And in that quiet, beneath the hum, beneath the ancient songs tucked away in forgotten corners, his thoughts drifted. He thought of the house of Elrond, so vast, so full of life and learning, its halls echoing with the gentle music of the elves, its libraries filled with wisdom gathered across the long ages of the world. And yet, even here, within walls built for knowledge, there were hidden places, forgotten lore, softly waiting, not for heroes, not for warriors, but for those who simply listened. He thought of the elves, their eyes deep with memory, their voices woven with songs older than the rivers. He thought of their quiet departures, ships slipping west upon the silver sea, bound for shores unseen, carrying with them stories, songs, wisdom that might never return. And he wondered, as he had always wondered, what fragments lingered, tucked away in hidden corners of the world, whispered along forgotten halls, etched upon quiet stones. The valley, the hidden library, the book in his hands. It was all part of that quiet echo, memory woven into root and rock, waiting, never lost, only patient. Lyrian breathed deep, the cool air of the chamber filling his lungs, steady, grounding, and with that breath came understanding. The hidden library was not simply a place of lost knowledge. It was a reminder that even in the most well-tended gardens, even in the grandest halls of learning, the world kept its secrets, soft, steady, waiting for those who moved with care, with wonder, with the quiet patience to seek. The valley hummed faintly, the spirals along the walls glowing soft and sure. Lyrian smiled, small, steady. The westward pull he had always felt, the quiet longing tucked behind his ribs. It was not a restless ache, nor a cry for distant shores. It was a knowing, a gentle, steady reminder that there was always more to find, not through grand quests, but in soft footsteps, curious hearts, quiet listening. The door had opened, the library revealed, and though the journey ahead still stretched unseen, Lyrian felt no need to rush. The valley, the stories, the hum of the stones, all would guide him, gently, steadily, as they always had. And for the first time in many long nights, as he rose from the cool floor, as he tucked the green-bound book beneath his arm, Lyrian carried with him not only wonder, but quiet peace. The ancient songs were never truly lost. They simply waited. The dawn crept softly into Rivendell. A pale light filtered through the high trees, resting gently upon the green slopes and stone paths. The silver streams whispered low as they wove through the valley, carrying the quiet songs of the waking world. Lyrian moved with unhurried steps along the narrow garden paths, the hidden book tucked beneath his cloak, its presence warm against his side, its weight light, yet filled with quiet meaning. The memory of the hidden library still lingered, the spirals glowing upon the walls, the hum of the valley deepening in his ears, the forgotten words within the pages softly waiting to be heard once more. The valley, too, seemed to hum differently now. The trees whispered in their upper branches, the streams carried new echoes, and the stones beneath his feet thrummed faintly, their rhythm steady as the breath of the world. It was along one such winding path, shadowed by tall birches and climbing ivy, that Lyrian first encountered another. The elf stood quietly by an ancient archway, their form tall and still as the trees, their silver hair falling loose about their shoulders, their eyes calm, their expression unreadable, yet not unkind. Lyrian paused, his footsteps soft upon the mossy ground. For a long moment, they simply regarded one another, two quiet souls beneath the gentle light of morning, no need for haste, no urgency in their meeting. "You have found the old place," the elf said at last, their voice low, woven with the melody of distant seas and forgotten ages. Lyrian nodded, his hand resting lightly upon the hidden book beneath his cloak. The elf's eyes softened with quiet understanding. "The library breathes again," they murmured. "Few have walked its halls, fewer still have listened to its hum." They stepped forward, their cloak brushing softly against the leaves. "My name is Eredhiel," they offered, inclining their head with the easy grace of their kind. "Keeper of some memories, wanderer of others." Together they walked. Their conversation was not filled with grand tales nor sharp questions. Instead, it flowed softly, like water slipping over smooth stones. Eredil spoke of the old places within Rivendell, the hidden hollows where elves once gathered beneath starlight to sing songs now nearly forgotten, of secret carvings upon stones, spirals and symbols whispered from the days before men first crossed the mountains, of how the land itself carried memory, woven deep beneath root and rock, breathing through those who listened. Lyrian shared his wonder, his quiet curiosity, the soft pull that had guided him to the hidden door, to the glowing spirals, to the forgotten library beneath the house of Elrond. Eredil listened, their eyes steady, their expression thoughtful. There are always more roads within this valley than those marked upon maps, they said gently. Some only open when the valley chooses. Their path curved gently toward the southern slopes, where the tall pines whispered low, their branches heavy with silver-green needles. It was there, upon a stone bench nestled beneath the trees, that they met another, a Dunedain ranger, his cloak earth-colored, his face weathered by wind and wandering, his eyes sharp, yet kind. He rose as they approached, offering a nod that carried both quiet respect and an unspoken understanding. "I've walked these borders many seasons," he said softly, his gaze drifting toward the distant cliffs that framed the valley. "But even I find new corners when the land wishes." His name was Edric, a man of the north, one who had watched Rivendell's edges with quiet vigilance and listened to its hum when few others thought to. Together, the three shared quiet words. Stories passed like lantern light between them, of old roads and the spirals hidden upon ancient stones, of distant songs, their melodies lost to most, but still carried gently upon the breath of the land, of the hidden library, and how memory, though buried, was never truly gone. Their meeting was not loud, nor filled with declarations. It was a soft weaving of threads, three quiet souls bound by the same wonder, walking the old paths together beneath the steady breath of the valley, and as they parted, their steps carried them onward, not as strangers, but as those who had shared the quiet knowing, the steady hum of Rivendell's forgotten heart. The land remembered, and so did they. The evening settled gently over Rivendell, as it always did, the golden light of day softening into quiet blue, the hills and forests bathed in silver shadows, the steady hum of the valley deepening beneath the hush of twilight. Lyrian sat with his companions upon the grassy rise above the southern slopes. Eredil, tall and graceful, leaned against the trunk of a great elm, their silver hair catching the faint starlight. Edric, the Dunedain ranger, sat cross-legged nearby, his eyes steady upon the quiet shapes of the distant mountains. And overhead, the sky stretched vast and dark, strewn with ancient constellations, their light steady, unchanged, as they had been since the world was young. The fire they shared burned low, a soft, flickering flame, casting warm shadows along their faces, its smoke curling upward into the cool air. For a long while, they simply sat, the silence between them as easy and steady as the song of the streams below. It was Eredil who spoke first, their voice quiet, their words flowing like a gentle river. Do you know, they murmured, how the first songs of the West were carried across the seas before even the elves first sailed? Lyrian shook his head softly, his eyes lifted to the stars. They say, Aradiel continued, that the stars themselves whispered them across the waters, over the hills, into the stones of the world. Their fingers traced faint patterns upon the grass, spirals, gentle curves, familiar now, woven through every forgotten corner of Rivendell. The songs still linger, they said, if one listens, in hidden libraries, in the quiet beneath ancient trees, in the hum of the land. Edric stirred, his voice low, worn like stone, shaped by weather and time. My grandfather spoke of it too, he added. The old road west, the one unseen, but always present. They say the straight path was not carved only upon the sea, but upon memory. The fire cracked softly, its light painting their faces with warmth. Lyrian listened, his heart steady, the green-bound book resting beside him upon the grass, its silver spirals catching the faint glow of the flames. He thought of the hidden library, the silent corridors, the forgotten songs tucked away within old pages, the hum beneath the stones. The stories, they were not only words, they were woven into the land itself. And as the stars drifted across the velvet sky, more tales unfolded, softly, gently. Aradiel spoke of Numenor, the proud isle lost beneath the waves, its great ships drifting west, carrying knowledge, songs, hope, and grief. Edric shared old tales of the Dunedain, of quiet wanderers who walked the edges of shadow, carrying memory upon their cloaks, keeping forgotten places safe. And Lyrian spoke too, not grand tales, but small wonderings, of ivy curling upon forgotten stones, of the first glimmer of spirals traced by moonlight, of the low hum that had drawn him, soft and steady, to the hidden door and the forgotten library beyond. The fire crackled, the night deepened. Above them, the stars shimmered brighter, the constellations shifting slowly, patiently, their ancient song woven through the quiet. The valley listened, as it always had, and beneath the watchful sky, the stories carried on, not with loud declarations, but with soft, steady breath, woven gently into the heartbeat of Middle-earth. The land remembered, and tonight, so did they. The valley of Rivendell stirred beneath the touch of dawn. The first light crept over the eastern cliffs, its pale glow slipping through the trees, resting upon the winding streams, catching in the dewdrops upon tall grasses and ivy-clad stones. Lyrian stood once more upon the hidden path that curved gently toward the lower halls of the house. The green-bound book rested beneath his arm, its silver spirals faintly glowing in the cool morning light. Steady, sure. Beside him, Aradiel moved with quiet grace, their silver hair drifting upon the breeze, their eyes calm and knowing. Edric, the ranger, lingered in the shadowed arches, his presence steady, patient, like the hills beyond the valley. Together, they had walked this path before, beneath stars and whispering leaves, their quiet footsteps weaving them toward forgotten knowledge, toward the soft hum that threaded through the stones. But today, something shifted. The valley's breath carried a different weight, not of burden, but of quiet readiness, as though the land itself exhaled, expectant, steady. The hidden door, wrapped in ivy, waited at the end of the corridor. Its spirals glowed faintly, the carvings etched upon its frame pulsing with the same subtle hum that whispered beneath the ground. Lyrian brushed the curling ivy aside, his fingers tracing the patterns, familiar now, woven into his thoughts, his heart. The door opened, as it had before, quiet, sure, revealing the passage beyond. The hidden library breathed softly as they entered, its tall shelves rising into shadow, its ancient books glowing faintly beneath the touch of morning. But today, the hum was stronger. The spirals along the walls shimmered gently, their light steady, present. At the chamber's heart, the pedestal stood once more, its surface marked with spiraling carvings, the faint glow of old enchantments weaving through the stone. Upon it, a second book now rested, old, bound in deep gray leather, its edges marked by time, its surface carved with the same familiar spirals, but layered now with new patterns, stars, waves, ships sailing west beyond the edge of sight. Eredheel's eyes softened as they approached. "The valley remembers," they whispered, "and when its stories are stirred, it offers more." Lyrian's hand hovered over the book, feeling the hum, the quiet pulse of memory, steady, certain. With care, he opened its cover. Within, the forgotten lore unfolded. Maps of western seas, their hidden currents traced in delicate silver. Tales of the straight road, unseen by most, but ever present, winding west beyond the curve of the world, toward the shores that linger beyond mortal reckoning. Songs, written in Elvish and older tongues, carrying words that spoke of memory, of loss, of hope, and of return, and at the heart of it all, a quiet truth, woven not with loud revelations, but with gentle certainty, the hidden library, the spirals, the hum of the land. They were not only echoes of the past, they were threads, still living, guiding those who listened, reminding the valley, reminding those within it, that knowledge never truly vanished. It only waited, patient as the stars, steady as the stones. Eredheel traced a finger along the book's open page, their expression calm. "The land keeps what we forget," they murmured, "and when we walk softly enough, it offers those forgotten songs, one by one." Edric nodded, his eyes steady, the faintest smile upon his lips. "All we must do," he added, "is listen." Lyrian stood in the quiet hum of the chamber, his heart full, not with restless longing, but with gentle understanding. The mystery had never been locked away to keep seekers out. It had simply waited for soft footsteps, for quiet eyes, for patient hearts. And now, the door was open, the hidden songs unfolding, the ancient threads weaving once more into the breath of the valley. There would be more to discover, more forgotten stories tucked in quiet corners, more hidden songs carried upon the hum of the land. But for now, there was peace, the hidden library, the valley, the steady hum beneath the stones, all breathed with quiet welcome, and Lyrian, with his companions, with the green-bound book tucked once more beneath his arm, walked softly from the chamber. The door, open now, would never truly close. For the stories, the songs, the gentle wonder of Rivendell's hidden heart lived on, waiting, patient as the stars. The night had settled once more over Rivendell. The silver streams whispered low along their winding paths. The tall trees swayed softly against the starlit sky, and the ancient stones beneath the valley breathed their quiet song, steady, unchanged. Lirian stood upon the high garden terrace, the hidden book resting against his side, its spirals faintly glowing beneath the moonlight. The valley stretched wide below, peaceful, ageless, the house of Elrond tucked among the trees, its towers rising like quiet sentinels among the shadows. The hidden library, its forgotten halls, its ancient songs, all lingered now, woven gently into the breath of the valley, no longer buried, but softly revealed. Lirian exhaled, slow, sure, the longing that had stirred within him, the quiet tug, the unanswered curiosity. It had settled now, not vanished, only understood. There would always be more mysteries, more songs carried by the hum of the earth, more forgotten places tucked beneath stone and root. But they did not need to be chased, only listened for. Soft footsteps, curious hearts, patient souls. The valley would share its oldest stories with those who walked gently, who breathed slow, who let wonder unfold without haste. The moon drifted high above, casting its pale glow along the cliffs and winding paths. Eredheel's voice lingered in his thoughts, soft words spoken beneath the stars, reminding him that memory never truly fades, it simply waits. Edric's steady presence remained too, a quiet promise that along the old roads there would always be companions, gentle, steady, who shared the same listening heart. And you, my dear listener, you carry that quiet knowing now as well. The valley, the hidden library, the spirals upon the stone, they live softly in your thoughts as you drift slowly into sleep. Rest easy now, there is no rush. The oldest stories, the forgotten songs, the gentle hum of Middle-earth, they will wait, patient as the stars, steady as the sea, always near, whenever you choose to walk these quiet paths again. Sleep well, dream softly, and let the West keep watch